of law, which is
So
the
true.
internet, Twitter, everything you say.
Twitter.
More like the court of public opinion.
Oh
Hey,
man, that is going
So
to be used
tired.
against you.
I'm tired too. I'm
Um,
tired of this thing we call living. I mean,
I hate it, honestly. It's like a lot.
ah,
And I think I say that knowing that I have such a fucking cushy life, but I'm
Oh my
honestly,
God, same.
I'm like, and that makes it worse. Every time I think about that, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I have such a cushy life and I still hate this. How is
Yeah.
anybody doing this?
I don't have a job and I still, you know, and like that somehow makes it worse. Like
Same.
every second that I'm just sitting around idle. I mean, I do work, but it's the kind of work where I just sit around like jerking off, and that whole
I hope that's
time
a
I'm
real-
thinking,
OnlyFans or?
and I just sit there
R.I.P.
thinking like, I don't like this. Like
Yeah.
this is so miserable. Why
Why?
keep doing this?
Hey.
I agree.
I actually
But then,
don't know if
but
we have that
then,
cushy of lives, actually. Like, I think, like, of course they do. But you remember when your parents would say "first world problems," or my mom used to say that way too much, and I was like, "That's the most annoying phrase ever." And as I've gotten older, I've heard more and more people my age make like equivalent statements, and I'm like, the thing is not that your like, because the normal like thing to say is like all problems are problems, doesn't matter, like whatever. But I honestly think like people are giving up this freaking thing that millennials deserve more. We do. My life should be actually cushy, not because I'm lazy and don't have a job, but because I have a job that pays me to work an appropriate amount of hours for a great amount of money.
Yeah, we should be able to, like, it's so infuriating. Not so much to hear that from other people in a similar situation or a worse situation, but they're never the ones saying it. It's always like boomers.
Someone who owns a house.
Own a house, yeah.
Or
and
two.
I'm just like, you don't get to talk to me about how my problems aren't real. You own your house. Your problems aren't real. Shut the fuck up.
You are in the middle class, mother.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. I'm in I'm in the podcasting class.
Well, yeah, now it's like people online will tell you like, actually you are rich because you have followers on Twitter, and you're like, what?
Guess I'll just fucking kill myself.
Excuse me. My friend has like tons of followers on Twitter because she went viral, and then like she's a comedian, but she's not making any money off of her comedy.
No,
and
you don't.
She like looks like Google the other day told her that she was like her wealth was 500,000 K, and she's like, no, it's actually not. Actually, I have negative numbers in my bank account, but they make assumptions based on like how many followers you have, like how much you're in the media. They're like, they just.
I mean, if on Instagram it does kind of track, because for whatever reason, being famous on Instagram means companies like send you free shit and try and get you to do influencer stuff for them. On Twitter, all it means is that 1 million frog avatars per day ask me, how Jewish are you? And is it not Jewish enough that I could fuck you? And I'm like, probably not, dude.
I put up a picture of my butt in a bathing suit, and they're like, oh, so you really were a stripper? And I'm like, what? That has nothing to do with this. The correlation doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? I don't know.
On Instagram, that's totally appropriate, I thought. Like, you were allowed to do that on Instagram.
Yeah, you're allowed to do it everywhere. Butts are butts. It wasn't even a naked butt.
On Twitter, someone will retweet you and say, like, the global elite are at it again.
Yeah, they should fucking will.
Sorry, I wore a bathing suit, dude.
I posted a selfie like a few weeks ago, and in the quote tweets is somebody saying Jewish girls are getting uglier, and I was just like,
Jesus
that on
fucking
your own
Christ,
time.
are you kidding me?
It's my favorite thing anyone's ever said about me, though. It's even better than when some guy wrote me an email telling me I have a witch skull. I was just like, oh, you guys are weird.
that, to be fair, is a very cool email. A phrenologist.
A phrenologist who says you have a witch. No, not just a phrenologist, but a phrenologist that believes in like witches and
and angels, the opposite of angel skull. So it's witch skull, which is bad and Jewish.
Not a devil.
Angel skull.
Devil? Is that only boys?
I don't know about devil's skull.
Are
I think
witches
witch versus
lady
angel.
devils?
Well, because devils are would be the opposite, would be God. I mean, you're thinking like
but
demon,
devils
I
are
guess.
boys. Devils are boys.
Yeah, devils are
Devils
boys,
are
for
boys
sure.
and witches
But
are
no,
girls.
that's not true. The devil is a fallen angel.
Oh.
Guys, read the
Well, he
Bible.
turned into a boy. I don't know. He fucking transitioned on his way out of heaven. That's something they do to you. You don't get to be a girl anymore.
That's true. That's canon.
Yeah.
That's why
all of this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
It does. Are
today,
you kidding? We're talking about an angel, a literal angel
That's
today.
True.
Ooh.
That's so true.
Intro podcast, so I can say her name.
Okay. Welcome to Low Culture Boil, the trash podcast about trash culture, hosted by three trashy babes. I am your host, Rax King.
I am the person in the middle of my Zoom call, Courtney Rawlings, aka Gal the Board.
I am your third co-host. I'm also in the middle of a Zoom call. I'm not sure what that was about, honestly. But
well, I mean, like in the middle
of the screen.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm also
for me too.
I'm in the middle for me. I'm in the middle for me.
In the middle
we're
for me.
all
Wow.
we're all each other's. We're all the meat to our own sandwiches. No, that's not gonna work.
Absolutely not.
Anyway, my name's Amber Rollo. I am the. I don't think I can, honestly.
No,
and like in any real way. Like, I mean, Cavella would say that I could probably, but I don't know if I can. Anyway, my name's Amber Rollo, and I am the third co-host. And today we are talking about a legend, like one of our favorite people of all times, a literal angel, a queen.
Angel.
A activist, an actor, an author, a sex symbol, the one and only. You want to say her name, Courtney?
Pamela Anderson.
Hell yeah.
I'm auditioning for
something. For something. You're not hired.
I get it.
We fucking love Pamela Anderson,
I love Pamela Anderson.
The last of the great blondes.
One of the last, I learned so much about her in the last few days, but like I've been obsessed with her since I was young, mostly because she was forbidden. You know, she was like, that's a sex person. And I was like, what does that mean?
But she was one of the first sex people to like make it into the mainstream. Like she was a sex icon that was also like mainstream at the same time. Because
she and Anna Nicole Smith are maybe and also Dorothy Stratton, but Dorothy Stratton came to a really horrible end. But those three are like the only people I can think of who got their start as Playboy models, because usually I think a lot of models probably thought it was going to lead to something like more significant in the entertainment industry. But by and large, Playboy was always its own universe. If you became famous within Playboy, you could only rise also within Playboy. You could become a centerfold, but you probably weren't going to become like a feature film actress. And Anna Nicole and Pamela Anderson are probably the last of the people who actually did jump from Playboy celebrity into mainstream celebrity.
Yeah, they're household names. They are. And one of the first things that Pamela Anderson did after being in Playboy, which we can talk more about her being in Playboy, but I think one of the main reasons why she's a household name is because she ended up on Home Improvement. And that was sort of a happy accident. Like she wasn't supposed to be the original Tool Girl on Home Improvement, but the original Tool Girl, the actor that was going to play her,
Tool
Lisa.
Girl sounds like so offensive.
I know, doesn't it?
Don't you call me a Tool Girl.
The 90s were weird. I don't know what was happening, but like this was a family show. Yeah.
Wait, so that comes before Baywatch.
That comes before Baywatch. Yeah. Wow. She. The original actress, I forget what her name was, but she couldn't actually take the part. She decided to take a part in a movie and she became a movie star instead. Anyway, it wasn't a good career move for her. Good career move for Pamela, though. She just filled in and then ended up being one of the longest cast members on the show. She did leave when she needed to take the role as CJ in Baywatch.
Did any of us watch Baywatch? I kind of felt like I wasn't allowed to, even though it never really came up. Nobody ever told me you cannot watch Baywatch, but it felt so...
The slow motion running at the beginning, I was like...
Slow-mo running. Oh my God.
That's porn. That is porn.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And the way
like you know it when you see it?
Yeah, adults would talk about Baywatch in like the same voice they would use to talk about sex and porn and other stuff I wasn't allowed to know about. I just assumed, even knowing about Baywatch, I was somehow violating a rule.
Yeah, definitely. And it's weird because it was like on prime time. It was on a, normal television. It was on like NBC or something like that. And Pamela Anderson was like a huge draw to the show. After apparently her time on Home Improvement, she became like iconic, like for wearing that red high cut red one piece bathing suit. And I only see her if I think about the 90s, I see Pamela Anderson with her in that gorgeous red bathing suit that are now back in style.
Yeah.
I gotta
She's
say,
auctioned it off. She doesn't have it anymore.
Slow motion.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, well,
that's
cute.
good. That's a good reason to do it. I was a lifeguard and swim instructor at the YMCA, and I did wear like a high-waisted red bathing suit. And I gotta say, very flattering cut of a bathing suit, like one of the best bathing suits you could ever wear.
You cannot have pubic hair.
To
wear one.
You can if you're brave.
You can just a little bit, a landing strip,
I think it's kind of cool to have pubic hair with that bathing suit. It's kind of subversive. Like,
it is.
You, look at my pubes.
Okay, so
I'm a real woman.
This is so funny that you brought this up because I've been thinking about it a lot recently. About
You've been thinking about pubes a lot.
Just thinking about pubes is what Amber does.
Honestly, yes. This is how I spend my days. I don't have a job. Okay, I think about pubes, and I've been thinking about how having pubic hair coming out of your bathing suit is like more. It's more inappropriate than not having pubic hair, which you think like waxing yourself seems like the sex thing to do, but having pubic hair coming out is like, whoa, you're just reminding people that you have pubes and that you're a full-grown
I remember
woman.
you mentioning this when we were at the pool, and I was like, that is such a sickening realization. That
it's true.
I remember even as a high schooler, I didn't think about my pubes at all, and I was wearing a bathing suit. My mom was like, "Yep, time to do something about those," and I was like, "What?"
I mean, there's that iconic photo from some 70s, I think, Hustler cover with the woman like from the waist down, and she's wearing the American flag bikini, and she's got a little like bouquet of pubic hair coming out over the top. And that, I mean, that's what it looks like. It's like shaped like a little bouquet of flowers, and it's very obscene. And
yes, it's obscene. That's what it is.
Without the pubic hair, it could have been the cover of any health magazine, but with it, it's like you are buying pornography.
Yes.
It's really interesting because this is like a total aside, obviously, but Pamela Anderson definitely doesn't have pubic hair. I'll just say that as a fact. There's no way she does, but
it's been lasered off.
She doesn't even have eyebrow hair, so how could she have?
Like has been on women especially has been considered kind of like gauche or overly sensual or obscene. For forever. For instance, like Manet's Olympia, I think I've talked about that painting before on this podcast, but whatever, here I go again. Some viewers thought they saw like a spritz of pubic hair near her vagina, and that was what made it like a stretch too far, because all of a sudden that was a real person, a real woman,
and even the sight of the vagina is like, okay, it's a nude painting. Of course, this nude painting has all of the parts of a nude person, but as soon as you throw the hair into the mix, which you can't even have sex with, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, this is a sex painting. This is a sex photograph.
I remember very strongly one night when I was at the strip club and I was on the pole that's next to the bar, and I had on my little G-string, and a high roller came into the club, and he was like looking at me, watching me, and I was like, yes, he's gonna like get a private room, like perfect, hell yeah, I don't need to worry about dancing anymore tonight. But then it turns out he saw like a tiny bit of of my pubic hair, of my hair like coming out of the top. I just hadn't shaved like low enough. You know how tiny those little things are? And then he said that he didn't want to take me anymore because
this is why people
I had
are negative.
Yeah, no, he told me. Yeah.
What a thing to say.
He's like, I was thinking about it, but I can see like your hair coming out, and that's disgusting. And I was like, wow.
Actually, I do think we can connect this to Pamela Anderson a little bit later when she comes out with her anti-porn essay that she writes later. And I have I'm so curious to see what you guys think, but let's start just from the beginning. because some people might know, might not know, that the most American woman, another just bushy blonde American, is from La Canada.
Yes, she is.
La Canada. That's French for the Canada.
She was born July 1st, 1967, and that's on the centennial of Canada's founding. And so she was actually in the newspaper day one of her life because she was a centennial baby.
But not the centennial baby, which she did claim to be. She claimed for a while that she was the first baby born that day on the centennial, but because that's what her parents told her. Like, it's not like her fault or anything.
Yeah, that's what my parents would tell
then
me. I thought it was a princess.
And then it turns out it's another woman, and she like came out recently and was like, actually that was me. I'm sorry. Like, no, like, I don't blame Pamela, but like, that was me. And she has like the certificate and everything.
That's so funny. She was like, I would just like it to be known that I'm actually the centennial baby.
Yeah, right.
She grew up in a 2-room shack with her brother and 2 parents. Her dad, it was a funeral repairman. No idea what that means.
Funeral repairman?
That's what it says on her Wikipedia page. And
funeral repairman. I'm guessing he like worked at the funeral home like as a repairman.
Yeah,
but,
that's
not repairing coffins, but like at the funeral home, like he was their local guy.
He worked at a funeral home.
Yeah.
And her mom was a waitress. And they lived in what she calls a two-room shack with her brother, who she's still very close to. She actually like talks a lot about how close she's remained to her family. It was a small town in Canada, in British Columbia, on the beach. So her like beachy look is authentioso. And in 2004, she did become a naturalized American citizen.
Mazel tov.
And she came to fame in a really funny way. I mean, at first this was lore, but apparently it's true. Pamela was at some sort of
sporting event.
Look at me, like us not even writing down what the event was. We're like too obsessed with the other details.
Wait, what
sporting event?
What fucking difference does it make?
It doesn't matter.
Pam.
She was on a freaking jumbotron. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and she was wearing a Labatt's, never heard of it, beer T-shirt, and was then featured on the jumbotron. And the Labatt's people, that has to not be how you pronounce it. That's the most disgusting sound I've ever heard.
Labatt?
Yeah, maybe it's Labatt. That's gross too. But anyways, she was wearing this shirt. She's approached by the company and they're like, yo, you should be our spokeswoman. And so her boyfriend at the time, this also reminded me so much of Anna Nicole Smith. Her boyfriend makes a poster of her wearing the tee, and it is still kind of one of her most famous posters, and it's called The Blue Zone Girl. And she is so young and tan and just like a little baby. I have no idea how old she is, but she
does not
very
look
young.
anything in that picture the way she looks now. Every single part of her face and body looks different. And
totally
she's never been shy about the fact that she's had work done or that she dyes her hair or anything. But if you see the picture, it legitimately looks like a completely different person. You cannot tell how the one grew into the other. Yeah, what the fuck? That looks like a Barbie doll.
Yeah, that's Amber's not her.
I was about to say she looks like a Barbie doll, and I don't know. It's like it's very pure looking, but of course it's like sexual. Like the beer bottle is like spraying onto her, so there's this very like young innocence like brought into sexuality look about it. And I think it did help launch her career. Apparently, so in this photo she has like brownish blonde hair. I did watch a few episodes of her TV show, which was. Rax and I said weirdly boring, like
incredibly boring. Like they had to really try to make it as boring as it was. The whole first episode, the whole first episode's plot is Pamela Anderson is running late for something. That's everything that happens in a half hour of TV.
Wait, what year is this in? Do you remember?
2008.
Okay, 2008.
A little late for that kind of show.
A little late for that type of show. Yeah, the Osbournes was like a boring reality TV show. But that was like the first.
I think we misremember 2008 because this seriously looks like it was filmed on a Polaroid camera somehow. Like it's
I think that's deliberate
quality
though.
I've ever
I think because it looks a lot like the Anna Nicole show, but that was from like 5-6 years earlier, and that makes sense to me timeline wise because that's when all the shows were starting to be pitched that were like celebrities. They're just like us, but they're more fucked up and they have more money. And like, it's just weird that they would still be doing that in 2008 when there was I mean, Jersey Shore had already come out. That's the end of reality TV for me.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's insane. Because honestly, the show is boring. It's banal. A lot of what she's talking about is like making sure she has investments for her children to live off of, and to make sure her parents have homes, and her, like it's just like literally her just concerned about people in her life, and it's so sweet. She's just a nice person. I think that they thought, oh, well, we'll give Pamela Anderson this sexy, because it's this very sexy intro where you think it's going to be basically a porn, and she's just like, hey, I get naked sometimes. It's true. Anyway,
I'm going to the bank to talk to a mortgage specialist.
She is just like such a sweet, normal human being. And
she needs a written script, like in Stripperella. They like Stan Lee has like a cartoon.
She talks about Stripperella.
She talks about it in it. Oh my God, Stripperella actually pretty good, very funny.
It's kind of good, yeah.
It's written well. Like I gotta say,
Can you explain to the listeners what Stripperella is? Okay,
Stripperella is a Stan Lee comic type cartoon made for Spike TV, and it's about a hero that's a stripper at night and then a superhero at later night. Her superhero name is Stripperella. Her stripper name is Erotica, and it would be funny if
she was like stripper and then Stripperella.
They don't say that she has any other name, and it's very like tongue in cheek, like it makes fun of itself a lot. The villains are hilarious. They have a villain named Cheapo who like steals like take a penny, leave a penny things, and like takes the change out of fountains and stuff. He's very fun, sort of like the Penguin, Mr. Penguin-esque. But yeah,
that doesn't sound like villainous behavior to me.
It's
Give the
not.
guy some pennies.
Yeah,
some pennies. It's just a penny.
I think it's all pretty like in good fun. She seems just like, unlike what happened with Anna Nicole Smith, Pamela Anderson just, while she has a really tumultuous life and she goes through a lot of difficult times, she's just someone who just didn't turn, so far as I know, to drugs and alcohol. Like that wasn't just her thing. She was able, I think being a mom helped her a lot in staying kind of like focused on, or at least according to her, on kind of keeping and trying her best to continue a healthy lifestyle, despite her kind of sexual desires or emotional desires that led her oftentimes into the hands of crueler dudes. Like she's not known for her healthy relationships, and yet she's known for having a healthy relationship to herself. And
she has a pretty good head on her shoulders. Like it seems like
she does. I mean, the parallels between her and Anna Nicole, there are a lot of them.
There's weirdly a lot.
At some point, and the two of them were even coming into their own at around the same time, the 90s.
I'm sure they knew each other, like 100%.
At some point in the 2000s, they branched way off from one another, and it's gratifying to see someone like Pamela Anderson, like against everything people predicted, doing pretty well for herself and like staying mostly out of tabloids, having admittedly some questionable stuff to say about just about every political development that there is. She has a lot of opinions, which who cares? But like in a sane place and in a relatively healthy seeming place. I think it's nice to see. I think it's nice to see people who think that, you take your clothes off in Playboy once and your life is fucked forever. It's nice to see that proven wrong sometimes.
In fact, Pamela has been featured in Playboy on Playboy covers more than any other Playmate. Her first cover is October.
More than any other person.
Person, sorry, that's what I meant to say. Her first cover is October 1989. And then she is featured just a few months later as Playmate of the Month in February 1990. And it's after her Playboy of the Month appearance that she decides to become the boob lady of kind of like popular culture at the time. And kind of, in my opinion, I don't know if this is fact, but like, look, pop culture is and facts, baby. I associate Pamela Anderson's first boob job, which came in just after February 1990 cover, where she gets 34 Ds and then just a few years later double Ds, with the kind of explosion of like the breast obsession that America went through during the early aughts.
Yeah, it wasn't just a breast obsession; it was like a boob job obsession.
A boob job.
It was people specifically boob job.
People were really specifically interested in boobs that were manufactured.
Yeah,
and like I mean, boob jobs had existed for decades at this point, and I think that, you know, notwithstanding the fact that primitive ones, you can really tell they're fake, even regardless, it was kind of a shameless thing, or it was kind of a shameful thing to say, I have had a breast enhancement. You weren't supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
She did not care. She was
No.
just like, I got one boob job, I'm getting another. I want the
Hell
big
yeah,
old
man.
circus tits. Like, good for you, baby. Make your body. Make it however you want.
Very 90s, like to be I feel like part of the 90s is being shameless about everything that you're doing. Like very like, okay, so the 80s were like very over the top. You were doing a lot of drugs, like there was a lot of money around, like it was just a time of surplus. And then the 90s like sort of carried that on, but they were like, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're the new rich and we're not ashamed to talk about it. We're gonna get fake tans, fake boobs, fake hair, like everything. And so what? We're having fun.
It was large scale bimbofication. And if that makes it sound like I'm against it, I am not. I think
no, not at all.
Because I mean, underneath all of that, like kind of the 90s is romance with manufacturing your own body. There are people who, for one reason or another, genuinely need the permission to manufacture their bodies to their liking without shame. And I mean, I don't see much difference between Pamela Anderson getting massive fake tits just because it's helpful to her image, and, you know, a woman who's had her breasts removed getting massive fake tits because, you know, the old ones are gone. They were cancerous, you know, she might as well. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to want it to be normal to get plastic surgery. And I think it's, you know, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares?
Who the fuck cares?
I think in my TV show that she kind of draws a parallel between having blonde hair and having big tits. She's like, yeah, I also dye my hair blonde. And it was actually
this is also fake. Sorry.
She says the reason she had to dye her hair actually was she's a naturally brunette. She went out into the sun and put like sun in, like a very 80s, you know, phenomenon. She puts all the sun in and it turned her hair like bright orange. So she had to go for her first time ever to a hairdresser who dyed her hair blonde. And then from then on, she was just like, yeah, this is dope. I'm a blonde. Now I have big tits. Look, it's a lifestyle, baby.
Yeah, we invented the Barbies and then we yelled at women for like wanting to look like Barbies. You have to pick one. You can't have that be the standard and then also tell women, if you don't already look like the standard, then nuts to you. Like, go learn a trade.
Yeah.
My mom had breast cancer and she like got the mastectomy, double mastectomy. And she was like in remission for a while. And I remember she was super excited. Like, and this is when I was 10 years old, but I remember it was like okay at the time because that was 97. It was okay and like acceptable. And she was super excited about getting her boob job. She was like ready. She was like a small titty, like not small, but she had like B's when she was, you know, before the double mastectomy. And she was like ready to get like D's. She was like, yeah, it's going to be hot. She didn't get to get them.
Wardrobe.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have liked not being able to buy button-down shirts, if that's any consolation. That would have really been a nightmare discovery for her.
She wore a lot of lady suits, so she would have been. You're right. She probably would have been upset about that. She wore lady suits with like shoulder pads.
Oh, I love a good shoulder pad, man. I love a good shoulder pad. Shoulder pads and breast enhancements are like the two fake things of the 90s.
She had a whole drawer full of shoulder pads, like just like that you would just put into the suit when you put it on.
That's lit. She knew how to party.
Yeah, honestly, yes. That, and then later on she had the fake, you know, the like chicken cutlet type of insert that you use for a fake tit. She had those. They were in the same drawer. So that makes sense. Sorry. That's a total aside. I got
love my mom.
Memory lane.
Yeah. Now, do people still, if a lady has small titties now and she doesn't want to go through all the Megillah of getting a boob job, have push-up bras improved any since like the 90s and aughts? This is absolutely an aside, but I'm curious.
I have no idea.
I recently got one. I will say.
Okay. Oh, did you get it from Victoria's Secret?
I think I did. I did get it from Victoria's Secret.
You remember when we made fun of you for that?
Yeah, you made fun of me for getting my underwear there. I'm so sorry. Well, I don't
I stay making fun. I'm a bully till I die.
I just don't wear underwear very often. I'm so sorry, Courtney.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't know what to say to that. She's like,
I just blushed. Oh, wait. Oh,
okay. So I don't wear.
You can actually watch this on YouTube, I think, right?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Okay.
So you can see me blush IRL. You're welcome.
Oh, that's what that was for.
Yeah, that's okay. So I don't wear bras very often because I don't like them. Also because of my mom's breast cancer. Like I don't like the buildup right here in the lymph nodes. I'm like scared about it. Anyway, I don't wear them. I don't like them. I don't have small tits. I don't have big tits. I just have, medium. I'm a medium child. And
more details, please.
I used to wear push-up bras when I was young. So I recently I was just curious. I was like, I wonder what a push-up bra would look like now. And I got one, and I can't wear it, you guys. It is obscene, honestly. I cannot.
They are, yeah.
They are obscene. Like it is like, oh my God. And it like reminds me of my dad's girlfriend when I was a kid. Like she had like push-up bras where her like boob would like come over the bra. Like it's
the Renaissance fair model. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's too, and they're not comfortable, I will say.
So you're saying they haven't improved?
No, they have not. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I actually don't know if bras are that in like push-up bras especially are that in style. I think also like women are turning to comfort. It's like, look, man, I got a lot of things to worry about. I can't worry about how you think about my boobies right now. And I honestly don't think that Pamela really cared that much either. She just has a real career mood. She's very openly loves sex, and is very quote unquote sex positive in the words of today. Even though, and yes, we'll get to her anti-porn essay, but she did struggle in the media, not as much as like some other women. She did struggle in the media, especially later as she enters her like late 30s, early 40s, and you could start seeing her aging. People turned a grim spotlight to her, especially after her marriage to Tommy Lee, which somehow people blamed her for after her hepatitis C diagnosis. She came out and was like trying to be open. She's always trying to be open. She's very much like, I don't know, easygoing with like, look, I'm just going to say the things and you can hate me. I don't care because, I am Pamela Anderson.
People have always punished women for that, though. Any woman who tries to like remove any stigma by just being open about it, she's going to get tarred and feathered. It's not allowed. Horrible. It's every time.
Yeah. And I think it was like the hepatitis C came at a time where like the AIDS, like kind of obsession was ending, kind of the AIDS, hysteria was coming to an end, but she comes out as having hep C at the very tail end of that. And so she is getting like kind of blamed for Tommy Lee giving her hep C. And that I remember being huge in the tabloids at the time. So she was a tabloid queen. She also
she jokingly said too, like on Howard Stern's show, she was like, I don't expect to live for more than 10 to 15 years. And the tabloids took that very seriously and like lampooned her about it in all of the articles. And they were very rude to her about the whole thing. And she's cured of hepatitis C now. Like it's not a big deal. It's not.
At the time it was a bigger deal, right? Like hepatitis C was still a danger to your health. It was a huge issue. I think she did seem really depressed during these few years. And I think getting out of the spotlight and moving to some place like London, I think she was living for a while, helped her kind of recover from that, like, and avoid something like Anna Nicole Smith kind of turmoil, inner turmoil. She just was like, all right, peace. I'm not going to be in the tabloids anymore. I don't need this. But she is renowned for her marriage to Tommy Lee, which lasted a few years from 1995 to 1998. But she was married a whole bunch of times after that, which also like this like figure of like this kind of relatable femininity or something like that. Like anyways,
honestly, she did it right. Like she loves love, and like
she doesn't care about divorce. She's like, whatever, dude, bye.
Yeah, I kind of love these types of stories. I'm like, oh wow, I wish I did it that way. Like I wish I like had gotten married young and then just gotten divorced and then got married again, got divorced. Like I just want to like.
Well, hang on.
Okay.
I can
think
say it's not always that nice.
And her marriage to Tommy Lee was incredibly tumultuous, but I do think she is a romantic. So I'll get to I'll just list
She
her
is.
husbands really quickly. She was married to Tommy Lee, then Kid Rock, infamously, for a year. Then she married a professional poker player named Rick Salmon twice. First time in 2007, 2008. Then
first time she said it was fraud. She like had it annulled because it was fraud. Yeah.
And then she got married, and also that first marriage was just for low culture boil full experience. It was in between performances at Planet Hollywood that she got.
The LCB extended universe.
And then she marries him again for realsies in 2014, 2015, and for realsies gets divorced from him. Then marries John Peters, again annuls that marriage. And then Dan Hayhurt is who she most recently married in 2020, who is her bodyguard. But
these people are always marrying their bodyguards.
I know.
What is kind of relationship there?
Having a big, strong man protecting you makes you want something from him.
Oh, that would work on me. I see it now. Yeah, I would marry my bodyguard. I mean, Sean kind of is my bodyguard. He's just a big dude who stands near me. That's what I think a boyfriend is.
Same. Although I would more protect Matt than Matt would protect me, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah, you're kind of the bodyguard in that relationship.
That's so cute, though. I have to, I'm obsessed with you too. I'm your official photographer. I've decided.
You are, yeah.
And I will be yours, Rax, when you and I are together. You're
a very good Instagram boyfriend. I've noticed that.
No, you really are.
You're the friend everyone needs who has who's always taking the Instagrams. I look at my
unlike boyfriends, not all boyfriends, but I think a lot of boyfriends. I look at my girlfriends and I go, how are you not famous? You are the most stunning woman I've ever seen. And then I go taking photos. I sit in awe of Amber when I sit across the table.
That's so.
Oh my God! How am I?
We should all have such a boyfriend. Honestly, this is the attitude. Like any boyfriends out there who listen to this podcast, that's what you should be saying 100% of the time.
More wife guys, or what were they?
Well, I gotta say, I think the same thing about my girlfriends. I think the same thing about you guys, and I think I don't have like imposter syndrome, except when it comes to being a hot girl. I'm like, I think I tricked people into thinking this, but
bitch, please.
I'm sorry.
You're a hot girl. You're a hot girl. I'm sorry I sounded like Seinfeld just now. That was disgusting. I didn't mean it in a Seinfeld way.
I never want him to call me a hot girl, honestly.
No, he never would, but I will channel him and say, you're a hot girl. That's real. That's a real thing. You're not tricking anybody. You're not fooling anyone, Amber.
Okay. I accept this.
When I look at you, I see a hot girl. And if that's a mirage, well done.
Thank you.
So not to get us back to a grim move, but anyways, her marriage to Tommy Lee was incredibly tumultuous. And actually what ended up leading to their ultimate divorce was when she filed domestic abuse charges against him. And he was sentenced to 6 months in jail in Los Angeles County. I'm not sure how many he served, but this was again.
Oh, yeah. He did serve the whole full 6 months.
Oh, he did. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because he was guilty. And
he was very fucking guilty.
It's interesting. She actually continues to have sex with him after the fact, and they do try and work it out. And this is again another tabloid fodder, and something that she was also really open about. She was like, yeah, he was an abusive person. And I think it's in 2014 that she comes out and she goes, I was abused basically my entire childhood. And the genius of Pamela, she's like, and I think that's it tells you a lot about the life I'm living right now. So she was publicly announced that she was abused as a child in 2014, as early as 6, and until she was 14 by at least 3 different people, one group. And that kind of trauma, I think she openly admits affected her relationships with men and also her career choices. But I think also is what led her to be kind of, in her later years, sex positive in a way that's anti-pornography. And so
I will say, of all the anti-porn, anti-sex work celebrities out there, most of them, their opinions are totally disreputable to me. I have nothing to say to you if that's how you feel. but considering that Pamela Anderson literally had a sex tape stolen from her house, published everywhere. I mean, everybody had seen it in the 90s. And like blamed for it for years thereafter in the tabloids. I can understand that person being anti-porn. Porn kind of ruined her life for a long time. That's, you know, like, I don't agree with you. I think that opinion sucks. But I see where it comes from. It's informed by some terrible experiences that you've had with the industry in question.
I totally empathize with her experience and her opinion. And I think like she had drawn a boundary for herself that was like very clear. And like for such an open person who was like very willing to share everything with the world, she had drawn this boundary with herself that was like, sex is an intimate thing. It is private. It is what I want for myself. And then that was taken from her. And I think because of that, she reacted in a way that was like, porn is bad. I think that is a wrong take. I think that's like, yes, that's your individual experience and you can choose to keep that private, but other people can have different experiences. But I definitely understand where she's coming from.
Kind of reflecting on her life as a kind of sex icon, in a recent New York Times article, she did kind of explore maybe some of the reasons why she's nervous, not about women watching porn, but about men becoming porn addicts. And this was actually I'll get to it, and I want to talk about the essay more, but she said in a 2020 article that she's been recognizable for so long that members of her species, very weird writing in the New York Times, have grown comfortable interacting with her more as a novelty than a fellow person. And it, in the sense of a stranger walking up to her and declaring, "I heard you were here and I had to see it." And her response to that is, "My hair's all scraggly, all over the place. I'm wearing a sarong and, you know, fake Ugg boots. It's not a pretty look. So yeah, I do feel like an it," which was a really charming response after. And this is like, I thought so emblematic of Pamela as a person. She'll like tell you this kind of a sad story. Like people will come up to you and say it, and then she goes, "And I get it sometimes.
Yeah,
it's funny." But did you? Okay, so back to the article. I was just wondering if you guys read it. It was in the Wall Street Journal, and she wrote it alongside an Orthodox rabbi, Shmuley Boteach, and it was called "Taking the Pledge: No More Indulging in Porn."
I didn't read it, but I've read synopsis of it. But
I read as much of it as was available behind the Wall Street Journal's famously stingy paywall.
I need to send you guys. Paywall. I have workarounds to all of this stuff, so I need to send you guys off.
Okay. Is it Control A and Control V? No, it's fine.
I got you. Anywhoosy woozies. So yeah, this was this like kind of brought her back into the spotlight many years later after taking a long break. She comes out after the Anthony Weiner stuff. And again, this I think is really connected to her own childhood trauma. Anthony Weiner, for those of you who don't know, had been sexting underage women and also sent child pornography to those underage women. And I think, of course, that was quite triggering. And she, and then
wait,
there's all this.
He sent child porn to them? I thought it was just pictures of his dick.
According to the article, and then another article I read, he was texting underage women, and then he sent sexually explicit images of minors to minors.
Oh, like he would get a picture from girl A, he'd forward it along to girl. Oh, that's sleazy.
Actually, somewhere I read that there was like a 4-year-old kid involved. I mean,
oh my God.
It was
okay.
I was actually surprised reading about this because it's so much worse than we were told on the news.
Yeah, no, all I heard is about his gray dick. That's it.
Yeah. And all I heard, and that, and like Carlos Danger.
Yeah. But I think she's like, you know, quite serious. She actually, her and the rabbi gave a lecture at the University of Oxford, and I'm like, you go, girl. Honestly, like, slay, girl, slay. I don't even care if it's anti-porn right now, because more of her thing is not so much anti-porn as it is like, she's like, what porn can sometimes teach men, and she's very explicit about men, is that women are quote unquote objects. They are objects, and look, it's dehumanizing. And here, I'll just read what I wrote. All people are unique individuals, and this is from her article. All people are unique individuals, and we can be sure that Mr. Weiner's problems, it's just really funny that that's his name, are at least in part a matter of his personal psychopathologies. Yet his behavior squares with what we have observed with all too many men, especially in the US or other Western countries that enjoy liberal values and material prosperity. These are men who, by any objective measure, have succeeded yet regarded themselves as failures. These are men who are marooned in lassitude because they enjoy physical security, but who feel bereft and bored even if they are blessed to have the committed love of a wife or girlfriend. These are men who believe that cruising the internet for explicit footage of other women or sharing such images of themselves over the remote communication offered by smartphones are risque but risk-free distractions from the tedium. And this is, okay, I will defend this really quickly, mostly because I think she's not so much anti-porn as she is anti-porn as it has developed thus far, because she is, for instance, pro OnlyFans and pro her own platform, back when OnlyFans was sexually explicit, by the way, Jasmine, which was something that she invested in, which was like, I want people, like, you know, I don't want to deny the future, but I also don't want to romanticize the past. Let's romanticize the future and create new devices that make, you know, sexuality a literal conversation between two people. Anyways, that's my thought.
I think she has a point about the state that men in this country are in. I think that the psychological ennui that she is describing is a real thing, and that much is true. And to the extent that she seems to be looking at this as partly a labor issue, I mean, the fact that there's free/stolen porn, because, I mean, let's face it, just about all the free porn that there is stolen from somebody who was supposed to get paid for it.
We should do an episode on Pornhub, which is just like, I don't fucking care about if we steal movies from Warner Brothers. Pornhub is literally stealing, you know, someone's
from
like
individual creators
fucking paycheck from someone.
And I will say also, as somebody who is very open about the fact that I've had a lot of nudes stolen from me and posted for general mockery all over the internet. And I think that there's something to be said about the fact that oftentimes this sexual content is stolen from people who make sexual content available for free. But what men want is not the stuff that a woman chooses to make available to him. What men want is the stuff that women are hiding, because it's about degradation in that case.
It's about taking control.
This isn't the men who are like paying for porn and just jerking off to it quietly on their own time that are being implicated here, I don't think. This is men who are looking for cheap new thrills that come at the expense of individual women. That I'm on board with. And this is, but I also think think it does a lot of damage to fold that into an anti-porn stance, because if the thing that you are upset about is not the existence of pornography, you need to make that so clear at every single juncture, because anti-porn activists are ruthless, and once they smell blood in the water, they will take anything you say out of context and fling it at you like, this person's anti-porn, do you believe us now? You know, stuff like that. I don't think that, you know, I agree with a lot of the substance of what she's saying. I think it's really irresponsible to frame it in any way as anti-porn if that's what's meant. I think that you need to be careful, especially when you're operating with the platform that she is and the level of name recognition, because people pay attention to you when you're Pamela Anderson talking about porn. People understand that you have something to say.
Yeah, and I think like that is so easy to, right, for the media to kind of maneuver to make like kind of, you know, it's definitely a headline grabbing that this sex icon is anti-porn. And it's funny because I really just don't think that that's what she's saying. She's saying that what we have created thus far has turned what could be a wonderful thing into a pathological like sickness amongst a very heteronormative you know, vision that she's exploring, right, is mostly straight men turning sexuality into a kind of like a dominating kind of, I don't know, I don't have the right words, but but maybe it will be helpful if we talk about Jasmine, which is something that she helped invent and funded, which was and still is, I think,
it is
a counterpart to OnlyFans. So OnlyFans,
I used to use it, I think.
And
it's the video cam site, right?
Yeah, it's a cam girl site.
Something else like Club Jasmine or something. But
and
yeah,
this she's very pro. She was on it herself. She was also on OnlyFans briefly, and then continued on Jasmine. And this is what she says. She says, "I think people tend to always want it to be like it used to be, or romanticize the past. We need to romanticize the future and romanticize where we are now. On Jasmine, influencers can set their own rate per minute, which users pay to interact with them over text, video, or direct message." And that is a venture that Pamela, fully endorsed. She said it was basically like, what we need right now is an escape from loneliness. Like, even these hetero men who are, whose addictions to porn can become pathological, so much so that they end up sending child porn to other children just to feel something gross. That's at least Pamela's take. She's like, what, we are alienated, basically.
Yes. And so sweet. I do like the idea that Jasmine is like more, or like OnlyFans when it was allowing sexually explicit content.
By the way, fuck OnlyFans.
Fuck OnlyFans. Definitely get off of there like as soon as you can. Do it before they cut off the sexually explicit content, which I think is in October, but do it now. Leave them now. Don't give them any more of your 20% if you possibly can. But yeah, it's these platforms are more of a conversation instead of what she's worrying about is men sitting there and like passively consuming. Like right. Passively consuming images of women that only furthers in her, what she's arguing is it furthers this idea that women are objects when you are passively consuming their images rather than like engaging with them as another human being. Right. Yeah, and paying them directly.
I agree with that entirely.
I
don't think the passivity alone is the problem. I think that it becomes a problem when you're the guy, like, there's a real type of guy who passes hours a day just like one porn clip after another. But that's the passivity there is not the problem. The problem is like you are engaging in addictive behavior that is making you shitty. It's making you
I agree. I do not agree with Pamela on this full stance, but that is what she is saying.
I don't think I agree either, but I do think it's very telling of her, how intelligent of a person she is, that she's really thinking critically about all of these different ways that she herself has been consumed and transformed into an object. And I think that it quote from the New York Times 2020 is just so telling, right? Like, she's just really wanting to help invent a future in which people and animals, which we can now transfer to are treated humanely and kindly. And whether or not her diagnosis or her diagnosis is correct or her alternatives are correct, I don't know. It doesn't, but I do think she's just been really underappreciated as a very thoughtful
She's uncommonly sensitive to
the
ways that humans can be cruel to each other. I mean, she's been on the receiving end of just about all of it. And she's come out the other side a fairly well-adjusted, self-actualized seeming person. And I think that regardless of whether I agree with her conclusions about a lot of this stuff, I think her thought process is really sound, generally.
Definitely.
She's very... She's a critical thinker, and she seems very empathetic. And like you said, she has been on the other end of like so much poor behavior, so much like assault, basically. And she comes out of that with empathy, not just for other people who have gone through the same thing as she has, but empathy for the people who have done wrong to her, which is wild that she could even. So many people.
All I'm saying is we should all aspire to be fucking Pamela Anderson. It's insane. The woman is.
And then because she has been talked about as an it, and she has like been seen as an object, I think, and she's been seen as something outside our species, she does come with this empathy for. She has that same empathy towards animals as well as people, and that's I think what got her into the like vegan PETA animal activist movement.
I just think before we cross into her PETA activism, which has been extensive. I think the comparison I would be most likely to draw at this point is actually not to Anna Nicole Smith. It would be to like Anthony Bourdain, somebody who
that's so cool.
He comes from this like very marginalized professional sector, just like she did, right? He comes from restaurant kitchens. She's coming from soft porn. I mean, these are two industries that unless you can become a celebrity within those industries, you're not going to see a lot of mobility. You're not going to see a lot of success. You're just going to see a lot of hard work that people don't really thank you for, even if they consume it. And he emerged from this world not just to become a celebrity chef, but to become a thinker, somebody who treats issues of like food and cooking and the supply chain and world cuisine with real critical thought and respect. And I think she does something very similar for issues of dehumanization that she's intimately familiar with as an alienated member of, let's, call it what it is, a pornographic workforce. The women who pose for Playboy are participating in pornography in a sense, even if it's soft. And I think the two of them have, when you really think about it, strikingly similar arcs. I mean, he happened to come out on the other side before his death, unfortunately, with a lot more respect than she ever has as a thinker. And I think that there's just something to be said there for people who come from these heavily marginalized professional backgrounds and don't try and just stay within those backgrounds to hit the top of the chain there. They want to bring their lessons that they've learned to the greater world and to people who would benefit from them. And I think that's a much more striking parallel.
Yeah. And it is, I think, as I was doing this research, all I was thinking is I really hope that Pamela Anderson gets the respect that she does deserve, not just as the hottest lady ever, but also just as an honestly deep thinker and a passionate person. And I don't know. I just really love that comparison. She has written 4 books. We haven't read any of them. I would love
to read.
I would love to, yeah. Yes.
Pam, come on Low Culture Boil.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Shivers just now. Shivers. But per what we were speaking about, Pamela Anderson is also known for her PETA activism. She was one of the first people to pose nude for PETA. In fact, her kind of billboard was deemed illegal for being sexist in Canada.
In Canada, which is funny because she's on, like, Canadians love her. Like, she's on the Canada Walk of Fame. Like, she's like,
they have a Walk of Fame.
Yeah, they do.
And it's not even for like movie stars. It's just like, these are Canadians. Here they are.
My dad is in like so he's from a really small town in Portsmouth, Ohio. And that his like name is on like the riverbank where it's like people who left Portsmouth, basically, who like aren't
people who got out. Yeah.
Like crazy. And he's like considered this like success story. I mean,
that's amazing.
Amazing man. But
he gave birth to you. That's why it's on there,
success.
Right?
Yes.
So she's one of these first person to kind of pose nude for PETA. She blows up PETA's kind of public facing image. Like, people weren't talking about veganism. And when she came out with this nude campaign, which was basically her brainchild alongside others at PETA, she kind of blows up the market. And she, in her TV show, yet again, very boring, wouldn't recommend. I'll go ahead and tell you what happens. She credits Bridget Bardot, who she says she always admired, looked up to. And Bardot was also a huge animal activist and encouraged Pamela to use her platform to talk about the importance of animal rights.
And now to this day, she's like still very involved in animal activism with PETA, but also with this animal sanctuary called Rasta, which takes, it's like a no-kill shelter for farm animals that are, done with their time on the farm. And they have like tours there, and you can like go and see like all the different animals. And yeah, she does a lot of work raising money for them. And I think spends a lot of her time there now that she is no longer on social media. What do
we make of PETA? Because
okay,
not a fan.
Complicated. I gotta say, complicated.
Look, Pamela Anderson, she has the sweetest little bubbliest voice. She talks a mile a minute. She's like a Gilmore Girl. She's like, I was like, is she on drugs? And like, no, apparently that's just how she talks. She's just like so excited about everything. I think like PETA as an organization is crazy, like a little bit too, it's like militant in a way that maybe like I will never get that video. I don't even want to say it because like PETA means well, but then also they're terrible. Remember when they took that dog away from a homeless man?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
No.
shit like that. Yeah.
PETA encourages like kill shelters for dogs. Like PETA does not believe in owning dogs and like sort of wants to like extinct them. So they're very extremist. Yeah, like fuck you. Like come for me. I will.
I honestly can't
definitely
even talk
hurt
about
you.
the dog stuff. It's like crazy because I think she since distanced herself from PETA. She now largely does the Rasta Sanctuary, but also she was criticized for writing Putin, but she also wrote like every world leader.
I love that she just like wrote a letter like, "Dear Vladimir Putin."
Literally.
Well, okay, so this is something that like I think PETA did, because Tommy Lee also wrote Putin, and like these organizations often will I mean, I used to work for Environment California, and we would like reach out to the people, the big names that we knew, and we would have like a form letter and be like, okay, this is sort of like what we're reaching out to people about right now, like here is the main bullet points, and then can you just like fill in what you think. So I'm not going to say, I'd say this particular one, Putin, I'm going to say she has other things she worked out on her own, but writing Putin, I think, was specifically with PETA. They were doing a campaign to reach out to him about this particular
Oh no, that
thing.
was with the International Fund for Animal Welfare. So she has pivoted to the International Fund for Animal Welfare, which is kind of where she's putting a lot of her money and backing right now, even though of course she's very well known for her huge support of PETA. But like she stripped for a Valentine themed ad for PETA where she urged people to, instead of like buy fur coats, cuddle their dogs. So I think it's just from a different generation of PETA. Like that's an adorable fucking ad.
Yeah.
For warmth.
Her heart's in the right place.
Her heart is in the right place. And I think like, you know, she probably similarly reacted. Like, would we know that PETA was doing things like stealing dogs from homeless people had we not seen that on YouTube? Like that's a modern realization.
Yeah.
Because even throwing red paint on rich people, that's funny. That's
go for that. No, I love that.
I have old fur coats. I wear them all the time.
Same.
Like, they were from my grandmother. It's not my fault. I did not kill a mink, but like my mom, being from the generation of, you know, women who were alive in the 80s and 90s, she used to ask me like, aren't you afraid to wear those out? I was like, no, they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't.
It would be really funny if they did.
It was kind of.
Are you kidding me? Buying a fake fur coat new, it does more damage to the environment than like having an old vintage like secondhand coat. But whatever. Yeah,
and actually another thing that she was criticized for, she doesn't really care who's in office. She hates Trump. She hates Biden. She hates them all, which is like good for fucking you, Pamela.
Atta girl.
She sent Melania a fake fur coat as like a gesture of like goodwill. Like, hey, can you like care about animals? Here's a fake fur coat, which I was like, oh, you sweet angel.
A little weird, but okay.
Yeah, strange but cute.
Yeah.
Speaking of strange, for some of us, and her kind of political alliances, one of the things that she's come under fire for most recently is her relationship with Julian Assange. She actually went on The View to defend Assange. How do you say his last name?
Assange. No, you're right, Assange.
Assange.
Yeah. And honestly, I was really impressed by the video. She really does stand her own. And it's quite, I don't know, even if you don't agree with her, which...
Sorry, Matt just dumped our entire fridge onto the ground for some reason. But that's what that noise was.
How do you dump a fridge on the ground? I didn't hear anything, actually.
I heard a little blooping noise, and I'm like, is that the sound of all the food falling out of y'all's fridge?
That's all we have. That's all the food we have.
I recognize the fridge dumping anywhere.
Yeah, the classic fridge dumping.
So I'm sure everyone knows, but Julian Assange was the one who leaked documents in this kind of government documents.
Wikileaks.
Which has now popularly called Wikileaks. And he also is responsible for leaking Clinton's emails. And so everyone tried to blame fucking him, Assange, for Clinton's defeat and Trump's win. And when she went on The View, basically Joy Behar, but also Meghan McCain, who was deeply annoying. I think she's the most annoying person on the planet, but that's just me. Joy Behar is like, anyways, basically like Russia and Julian Assange like caused Hillary Clinton to lose and Trump to win. And Pam goes, I can't see that I can see what you're saying because of the timing, but Hillary Clinton is responsible for Trump. And later on, she goes, so is Assange a Trump supporter? And she goes, no, he wasn't helping Trump. He was trying to tell the American people true information that Hillary Clinton was doing so people could make an educated choice. It was her emails. She wrote them. His whole intention was to stop these senseless wars. War is a business and it doesn't help us. Ugh, perfect woman.
Is it, I don't remember the situation all that well. I wasn't paying super close attention, admittedly. But there were sexual assault allegations, and she like
against
very
Julian
openly
Assange.
said they were made up, right?
Yeah,
I
she
don't remember
did.
the substance of the allegations at all, but I remember them happening, and I remember her being like, "People are lying."
Yeah, I do remember that as well, and that is like not okay to me. I will say her take on the Hillary Clinton part is correct.
Yeah, that's sound.
And also, I think Julian Assange released these emails earlier, but then they like got it like got re-released. Like, no, the media didn't pick it up until right before the election, and that was part of the problem, and not really his fault on timing. But yeah, there were allegations against him, and she did very clearly and openly dismiss them, which I think is a misuse of her platform.
Yeah, I will just defend her really quickly, not defending like her actions, defending Julian. I think, look, I agree, like, that Julian Assange went absolutely wacko being kept in the Ecuadorian prison, and he's probably not a good person. I would say he's definitely not a good person. But what she was defending was his actions, releasing that information to the American public, basically saying like, look, the security risk is not him releasing information, outing the military as the U.S. military as the
military industrial profit complex.
Right.
Complex, and also as the cause of so many war crimes across the world, and of course of the killing of innocents. And so she was I think probably more standing for an idea, right? Because she also brings up so many other people who have leaked information, including Snowden and
Chelsea
Manning, saying that they're heroes, right? Not necessarily as people, but for what they did. And I think that's kind of what she was trying to do. But of course, the media is going to take anything, and this was her problem. And it's like, it's hard to say this, #fake news landscape, right? Because she was basically being accused of like doing that. She was like, there's a smear campaign against all these people, and I don't know what's true anymore. But I do know that he shouldn't be in jail, or for the Wikileaks stuff.
Yeah, okay.
That's about all I got. She wears an amazing outfit, one that's photographed. To one of her visits of him in jail, she's wearing a photograph of this like huge shawl that I think she got custom made that says things like free speech is real, or like gagged, and like yada, yada, yada. And reached out to Trump again, putting her under fire, saying like, look, first she calls him a narcissistic perv on Twitter, but then a few weeks later, he writes him on behalf of Assange and says, after remarking that his emotional style strikes a chord with people, she implored him to champion free press by pardoning Mr. Assange.
I mean, she used to be married to a narcissistic perv, so she gets it.
Yes,
she's like, okay, it's fine.
I think she's one of these people that like I kind of admire, which is like, look, she is very principled, and the individuals who are in power or did whatever principled thing that she believes in are like secondary to the principle itself. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's what she does, and it's admirable for that alone. I don't know.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
It's unusual for someone in her position to be so clear-eyed about what she's going to stand up for publicly and unflinchingly. I mean, I have not known her to like have a pivot from one viewpoint to another under pressure or anything. She's, as far as I can remember, for the past 20 years, she's believed what she's believed.
Yeah.
And then there was something on her website about yellow vest socialism. That just tickled me.
Yeah.
That just tickled me.
So it was during the yellow vest. I think this is a little bit, I don't remember, it's after the Assange stuff. But the yellow vest stuff happens, and Pamela Anderson just wins my heart yet again when she comes out and says of the yellow vest protests, who you aren't familiar, the Yellow Vest protests happened after the French Prime Minister Macron announced that there was going to be a tax hike on oil, which would, according to the Yellow Vest socialists, affect the poor more than anyone else, right? Because that's what those kinds of taxes do. And she goes, I despise violence, but what is the violence of all of these people and burned? I despise violence, but what is the violence of all these people and burned luxurious cars compared to the structural violence of the French and global elites?
Boom.
She said structural
Boom.
violence.
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson. I'm getting a tattoo. I'm getting a tattoo of just the quote structural violence. Pamela Anderson.
She was also interviewed by Shreko Horvat on Jacobin, where she says, I do not think the poor should pay for climate change, yet it is the poor who are paying the biggest price. Some say that the protesters in France protested so they could continue polluting the planet, but I don't think that's true. They protest because the rich keep destroying the planet and the poor are paying.
Amen, bitch.
Yes.
Amen.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I'm just really obsessed with her. I think she's just a very clear-eyed, and it's true the Assange stuff is very complicated. Assange is a really bad person, like so far as I can tell.
I mean, politically speaking, to be clear, the WikiLeaks stuff absolutely needed to be done.
Yes.
You should not have gotten any shit for that ever.
Yes.
You also don't get to rape people. I mean,
no.
regardless of
and I
my
think
both can be true. Like,
yes,
WikiLeaks, no sexual assault.
Right.
But it's probably, I mean, it's absolutely true that there was a smear campaign against him. I do not remember the details of the case itself well enough to say what I think about it with any kind of intelligence.
Yeah,
but
I want to do more
by
research.
By and large, when a woman says some dude who's in a position of any power has assaulted her, it's almost always true. It just is. It's like there are so few benefits to lying about that, you know, I don't want to be like,
dismiss
believe survivors, because it's not a perfect way to believe. But it usually doesn't let me down. It usually does not let me down to look at a dude who has been accused of sexual assault and think to myself, it's probably true on some level, in some capacity. That doesn't negate every good thing he's ever done in his life, but it does make him a dude that I want nothing to do with, like personally or politically. Thanks for the contributions. Go fuck yourself.
I just have a sense, like, because I didn't do enough research about this response to Assange, I just have this kind of feeling that probably the headlines that we saw and read misrepresented Pamela. And I'm just going to say that, hopefully, and I'll see how that bears out, because I just don't see her as someone who would defend that behavior at all.
She said people were lying about it.
Yeah, she literally said people were lying.
About the allegations specifically. Yes. Like, that's on you, Pam.
I don't hear what you guys are saying. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone makes mistakes.
I'm just saying it was a misstep. That was a misstep. I don't know if she was really.
I think you can defend his work and also say, sucks completely that he did what he did. I think that actually makes your defense of his political contributions that much more powerful. Movie,
that guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, and I have my personal limits. I think just about everyone does. I will not watch a Woody Allen movie. I find that guy's smarm 100% intolerable. I'll still watch Rosemary's Baby. Like, I'm not going to give Roman Polanski any of my money. I think he's a detestable person. But at this point, he's also associated more with his sex crimes, rightfully, than his creations. And I think that opens the door for me to engage with the stuff he's made on a strictly artistic level, knowing the whole time that it was made by someone who thinks it's acceptable to drug and rape teenage girls. Like, it's two sides of a hideous person who has made some decent stuff. I'm not going to throw out all the stuff. I'm also not going to seek
You're not going to throw out Rosemary's Baby with the bathwater?
Nice. There's our comedian. There she goes.
Okay.
I'm going to beat your ass.
I can't wait.
Shall we gripe, incidentally?
Okay. Yes, but can I read you really quickly? I've read so much. Basically, this has just been a live reading of Pamela Anderson's words. during the pandemic, Pamela Anderson did deactivated her social media and was like complaining basically, this is so relatable, that her parents were like obsessed with the news and became like full of Russiagate people. And she was just like, they're so annoying. I have to delete it. I have to like get rid of all this shit. And an interview again from that New York Times article, this is her life advice. When her 2 adult sons, who are now adults, right, call her and say they're having a hard time, this is her advice. I have my ups and downs, she said, but I like my downs. I like it when I'm down, and I like to ride that out. When her 2 adult sons are upset about something, she tells them to get your guitar out, paint a picture, write a poem. This is a blessing you've been given. When your ribs hurt and you feel something inside, that's what artists crave. They need that. You'll be happy again. This will pass, and you'll appreciate it. How can you know hot if you don't know cold? Pure.
Yeah,
purest
it's
Very
beautiful.
wise. Very
It is
wise.
true. Yeah.
I'm never ever gonna listen to that advice.
No,
when I'm depressed,
God.
I am going to curl up in a ball in my sweatpants and say, "You cannot make me get out of this bed." But she's right. I should.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think that. I think she's actually saying like
No,
lean into
what
it.
you did is right. No, yeah, I think she would say what you're doing is correct.
Yeah, she's like
She
lean
wants
into
me
it.
to write a poem. I'm not gonna sit there and like,
Well,
doing
that's
in
for
my
her
own
son.
filth and writing a poem. Yeah, I'm not an Anderson, I guess.
They're musicians. She's a poet, but she's like, let it like follow those vibes. You know, for me, I'd be watching Bravo TV and I'd call that art, because I
You
think it
do.
takes
There
a
is an
certain kind
art
of
to how you watch Bravo.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So that's all I wanted to say because I couldn't end without something posy from our girl Pam. But it's that time again.
Gripe zone.
I got something.
Let's
I've
hear
been meaning to gripe this gripe for kind of a while, but I always forget it in favor of more immediate gripes. But anytime I podcast, I sweat like a son of a bitch, and I don't understand why. Why did we get the podcast
so
sweats?
funny. I was just thinking, oh my God, I'm sweating in this fucking jacket. It's disgusting.
I'm sweating like you can't tell. I look beautiful and perfect. Under my armpits is the Amazon River. It's just a tropical rainforest all over my body right now. Why? I'm just sitting here talking into a microphone. This is the easiest thing I could be doing.
I don't know, but I got them too. Amber doesn't relate because she's like
I'm sorry. No. I sweat all the time, but not particularly podcasting. That's not the time when I sweat. I have a very I don't know what it is.
My heart rate goes up because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
That might contribute to it, yeah.
Why are you wearing a jacket?
Yeah, the jacket's not helping.
Why are you wearing a jacket?
That was weirdly like when Rax started talking, I was like, what's my gripe? What's my gripe? And my gripe was going to be, I'm always hot and cold at the same fucking time.
Oh, that's worse.
And it's really confusing because like right now it's a little nippy inside, but I'm sweating, but I'm still cold. And it's very confusing. And
I think you might be dying. I think this is the Courtney specific.
100%.
You're not going to last the day.
100%. It's a real
I think you have dengue fever.
Like, when I go to bed, even in the summer, I have to wear a sweatshirt because I will get cold. But while being cold, I will get hot, and then I will be hot, and then I will be cold. And temperature is terrible.
I have the fucking AC set to 67 right now, and inside of my body is just a bunch of boiling hot soup.
I'd rather wear a sweatshirt and have it be cold in the house and then be a little too warm than be hot. I fucking think being hot is the worst feeling in the entire galaxy.
It's horrible. It's
it is
illegal.
It's way worse. I do sleep with one leg. I sleep with like a big comforter on, the air conditioner on, and then one leg out of the cover. And then halfway through the night, I switch my other leg out of the cover, but the other one on under.
So you gotta always have one leg out.
No, always have one leg out. That's how you know. How do you know what hot feels like unless you know what it feels like to be cold?
Woo! Yeah. Go get it, Pam. I just think she's so cute.
I just think she's right and was talking about my disgusting soup body specifically.
Yeah, she was. That's what she was
yeah.
Write a poem about
it. They cut it out. She said Rax right before it, but they just
Rax, your body is full of beef bourguignon and you're disgusting and go write a poem, stupid.
Did anyone like my tweet that I saved your name as Rax King the Queen?
I did. I replied to it. Yeah.
Oh, I have to check these things.
Yeah. Don't you call me out for not liking your tweets?
No. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at it. I didn't know if anyone liked it.
Yeah, like
Oh my
30 people
God.
liked it.
Oh my gosh, that's like just speaks to your fame. I'm so obsessed with you too.
Oh, that's really
Aw.
cute. Please don't murder me when
Anyways,
you're in my
Amber.
house.
You guys, I feel bad, but I don't have a. Okay. So I
Dig
ordered
deep.
this. I
Complain
was
The
about
fact that
something,
Matt just
bitch.
broke the refrigerator.
I ordered a mirror on
Oh, that was shitty.
on Etsy, and I ordered it secondhand. I try to get as many things secondhand as I possibly can because I don't like to add more to the trash waste
Show off.
landfill that we're growing. And I try to be really conscientious about it. And I got this mirror and then it arrived and I was waiting for it. It takes longer because you're doing it secondhand and it's an individual selling it to me. And that's great. And I love all that. But I got it, I opened it up and it's like shattered.
Ugh, that's
Shattered.
sorry.
And the only
Just
mirror
when
I
you
have,
did the right thing.
I'm like, this is why I fucking
That's
hate
the
this.
devil talking. The devil's like, buy it from IKEA. They'll wrap
Buy
it
it from
extra bubble
Target.
wrap.
Just go to Target. Go and get it.
Those ones are such low quality.
I know they're bad.
Every time I've ever gotten an IKEA or Target mirror, I don't even care if I pay like the extra like $30 for like the nicer one. It's still made of fucking plastic. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and you look at it later and you're like, oh, this looks gross. I hate this.
I do have a mirror store that I know about, weirdly. There's randomly a secondhand mirror store across the street from my mom's house.
That's very cute. I love that. But I think I am taking this one. I talked to the woman on Etsy who sold it to me and she was like, well, I hate this. Like, I'm very angry for you. And she's like opening up a case with UPS. She's very sweet. And she was like, but if the frame is intact, which it is, you can take it to a I don't know how to pronounce this, a glacier. Yeah. So you can actually go and get a new mirror put in. And there is one just on Sunset, just around the corner from me that I've passed. And so I'm going to take it there and get it replaced. And she's going to refund me for that. So
that's good.
But it's a couple of
only happen when you're dealing with a small seller too. Like IKEA wouldn't have done that for you. So
no, not ever.
Bed Bath and Beyond would have done that for you.
Well, that's Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, they're
B.
special.
Oh,
that's
God,
white glove service.
Oh, amazing people over there. You can take expired coupons to Bed Bath and Beyond. This is an ad read. No, it's not.
No, that is correct. That is true.
It's true though. Yeah.
Hey, yes, Bed Bath and Beyond.
Never
we will
throw away those coupons.
In case if you didn't remember, we do have a live show this week. Friday. This Friday, the 27th.
And there are 5 tickets left, so hurry.
5 tickets. If you haven't bought a ticket, buy it right this very second. Honestly, probably by the time you listen to this and buy it, they're going to be gone. So I hope you have thought of it beforehand. Check anyways. See that little sold out sign. But yeah, it's at bit.ly LCB827. Go get your tickets. It's at 7:30 at Bushwick Public House. And other than that, you should definitely join our Patreon. It's patreon.com/lowcultureboil.
We have
also
new merch.
We do have new merch. We have shorts. Also, just an Amber thing, if you happen to be in LA and you're listening to this tonight, I have a show at El Cid. It's outdoors. I'm co-hosting it with my dog. So you should come to that.
That's what she calls me.
That's my bitch, Courtney. Sorry.
Did you say it's at El Cid? Did you say that?
Yeah, it's at El Cid.
El Cid tomorrow, the day you're listening to this.
Yeah, 7:30.
7:30. Also, we have new patron stuff going on. So if you become a patron for $30 a month, you will get a shirt that says "Stop Being Rich," a la Paris Hilton "Stop Being Poor," with a special little LCB vibe on there. And then forthcoming are going to be some stickers for our $5 and $10 patrons. I just need to figure out how to use the internet. That is all coming. So, up your Patreon today. Those shirts are super cute. I can't wait to get mine. And match those with your shorts. Culture. Stop being rich. That's our, there you go.
We love it.
All right, bitches. I love you. Auf Wiedersehen.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.